Welcome to Gunz Bunz, a podcast that celebrates strong, successful women. Please like and subscribe to our Gunz Rollz fitness channel to see more episodes like this one. Today I would like to welcome my friend and guest, Pam Silva, aka Pam. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Bethany. How are you?
So happy you're here.
Thank you.
So to tell you a little bit about Pam today, she's been married for 12 years to Andre. She's a mother of 3. She has 2 beautiful girls and 1 boy. She has been a homeschooling mom for 4 years. She's a new American citizen as of 2022. She was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. Her mother was a diplomat for Nicaragua in Toronto. She is married to Andre, who is in the military as a pilot, so she's a pilot wife. Her husband was deployed to Qatar for 200 days. And her family deployed to Germany for 2 months in 2022. As if that weren't enough, Pam went to culinary school. She did her internship at Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge. She's attended baking and pastry school and has worked as a baking pastry teacher. She was featured on the Canadian Food Network show Cakewalk, which was a wedding cake competition.
Yeah.
She's competed in a live cake showcase. She's been a house food stylist and chef for Williams-Sonoma and has taught cooking classes. Her work has been featured in Canada's Wedding Bells magazine. She has been a pastry chef for 11 years. She's also worked for the Toronto Supper Club, making desserts for many special guests. I'll let her talk about that in a little bit. And then, along with all of those magnificent endeavors, she also volunteers with many organizations. She teaches faith formation classes with St. Matthew's Catholic Church. She volunteers with a variety of veteran organizations, and she has also volunteered at the Princess Margaret Cancer Hospital. She plans social events for the Squadron, for her husband's Squadron. And then on top of it, she loves to lift weights, do Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. She loves to go shooting. And then on top of it, she loves her family, her friends, her faith, and to top it all off, food after listing all of those things, right? So wow, Pam, that is quite a list.
I know, it's annoying. I'm sorry. I love it. I was like, well, don't forget to add shooting. Don't forget to add this.
That's awesome. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about your background, like how you grew up and how it kind of shaped you, who you are today, and like that mega list of activities. That is just monumental. I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's annoying. I'm sorry.
No, you're great.
I grew up in Toronto, Canada. I was born and raised there.
Mm-hmm.
My mother is Nicaraguan and my father is Irish, French, Canadian.
Wow.
But I really grew up with like the Nicaraguan side of my family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the third born of 4 kids. Every summer until I was about 25 years old, we would go to Nicaragua.
Mm-hmm.
And I would spend the full 2 months there, and we would go to my grandfather's farm.
Wow.
We would go to the beach. We would just do very boring things that were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But as a young kid, I saw what true poverty was like. Like these kids would just like run up to your car and like, you know, ask for money. They were just wearing basically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They have no shoes, and it was just real poverty, you know. So I was really blessed to see how certain people can live instead of just like this, you know, wonderful life that we have in the United States.
Yes.
So that was a big influence in my life. Going forward, I think like with all of my volunteer work, I really try to like reach out and try to like make my kids understand that like this is not a normal life, the kind of life that we have together.
Right.
We have been blessed a lot. And so whenever I can, I'm like, we try to get out there and to give back.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Awesome. So what drives you to kind of do all of these things? Because that is a very long list. I know you said the growing up, kind of visiting Nicaragua, that kind of influenced you to do all these things. But tell us a little bit more about maybe the military background, because I noticed, like you said, you organized a lot of events with like your husband's Squadron, but then you also volunteer with like different organizations like the Independence Fund. I know you've worked to kind of help them and support them in some endeavors. But what are some things you've done based on kind of like that background, like that
So
inspires you?
my husband has been in the military for 18 years. I've been a part of that for 12.
Wow.
And we have moved to and been to so many of the states. So it's been really nice, like being Canadian. When I was Canadian, I got to travel throughout all of the United States. So I got to see so many different places, see how different people live. Um, we we ended up moving. We were first married in St. Louis, so we lived there first. Then we went to Alaska. We were there for 5 years.
Wow.
Then we moved to Florida, and on top of that, we were traveling throughout the states for different training positions that he had. That we had to go to Alabama for a few months
Wow.
and go to Altus for a little bit. So we've been all over, which is really nice, and you meet a ton of really cool people. We ended up in Florida for 1 year, and then we moved to North Carolina. So we've been here for the last 3 years. It's been a really cool experience. I actually like living in North Carolina more than any other place that I've lived.
Awesome.
I feel like the people here are really genuine. They're really sweet. It's a really family-oriented community where people really care about you. And I'm not worried about really the safety of my children, which gives me peace of mind. I feel like the gym community is really great that we have here.
Yeah.
On top of that, the military families that we have met here have been amazing.
Yeah.
So it's been a really good experience being here and being a part of the military, even though like we're not active duty anymore, but we're essentially like he's full time. But I have we don't live on base. Like we have like a regular normal civilian life.
Right.
And it's been really cool to have like the blend of the military with the regular civilian life, like our gym community as well, and like our regular neighbors. So that's been a really good thing about being here.
Yeah, absolutely. So with him being in the military and moving a lot, that's kind of placed that call kind of on your heart. And then modeling that for your kids too.
Yes.
That's amazing. I see Sammy. He's so cute.
Oh
and
my
he
gosh.
dresses up like dad in his little flight suit. Is that what you call
Yes.
it?
Oh my
He's so
gosh.
cute where he does that. I love it.
He's so stinky cute with that.
That's
I know.
amazing.
He wears he wears it to work.
Does it?
Like we're really blessed. Like Samuel's homeschooled, so he can actually he goes to the base at least once a month, and he dresses up in his flight suits.
I love it.
And he really does. He has little aviators. Like he really does think that he works there.
Oh, he's so cute.
And
I
so
love it.
the other day when Andre got promoted to be squadron commander,
Wow.
he went up to his dad and he's like, "Hey, Dad, now that you're squadron commander, can I get a job?" And he's like, "Well, what job do you want?" He's like, "I'm ready to be the first kid F-16 pilot."
Oh, he's so cute.
And my husband's like, "Well, why don't you try to be in charge of the snacks first
Yeah.
on base?" So he's like, "All right, I'll be in charge of the snacks." So that's a really big thing for him.
I
And
love
so
that.
now that's his job. He's
Yeah.
in charge of the snacks at work.
Yes. So Pam did this really awesome thing and helped me out back in December. I was in need of someone to kind of hang with the kids one night. I had a Christmas party or something, and Kevin was at Worlds in Vegas. So
Very fancy.
anyway, though, I just remember it was so awesome. Hannah and Jacob hung out with you guys for the night and the kids, and both of them were like, Samuel is so smart about planes. He knows everything.
Yeah.
They were so amazed. Hannah's like, he's a smart kid.
Yeah.
They were like, for him to know all those things, like,
It's
I bet he knows
incredible.
more than the average adult.
So what he does is when Andre comes home from work, he will not stop asking him questions about
awesome.
airplanes, about NASA, about SpaceX the entire time.
Wow.
Then he goes to bed, wakes up the next day, and he follows me around the house because he's homeschooled, follows me around the house and is like, "Mom, did you know that this airplane does this?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh," all day long. And he's just like in my ear, and I have videos of it because it's the cutest thing ever. Like he really does love airplanes. Like he's on his way to be a pilot one day in the military, and he told me that he does kind of want to go to space, but he knows it'll make me sad, so he won't do that. And I was like, "Thank you, Samuel."
Oh, you're so sweet.
Please don't go to space. It's too much for me.
So how's the homeschooling going?
It's going great.
And why have you guys kind of opted for the homeschooling route? I'm just curious.
So, of course, with the pandemic, school closures, children having to wear masks for 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
We moved here and it kind of in the height of it.
Yeah.
And the school that my daughter was going to was a Catholic private school
Okay.
when we first moved here. And so it felt under the diocese
Mhm.
to make the call whether or not children will be wearing masks. And at this age, she was about, it was a TK program. So
Yeah.
she was about like
she's
4 or
young.
5,
Yeah.
very young. So this was their school ended up saying, they said, you know what, masks are not necessary. It's
Mhm.
your choice.
Mhm.
And I was like, great, okay, we'll put her in again for the
Mhm.
following year. And then
Mhm.
it turned out that the parents were very upset about that.
Mhm.
And the parents said, nope, we want masks.
Mhm.
And I was kind of like, I don't know, like I don't
Mhm.
want to send her to school with having to wear masks all the
Yeah.
time.
She's so
So
young.
it just didn't feel right for me. So one night, Andre and I were just sitting out talking, and
Mhm.
he said to me, um, he's like, why don't you homeschool? And he's kind of like mentioned that to me a few times, but to be honest, like growing up in Canada, like you didn't homeschool.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's allowed.
Yeah. Really.
I know that when we were deployed in Germany, we were deployed
Mhm.
in Germany for
Mhm.
2 months.
Mhm.
Homeschooling is illegal.
Oh wow.
So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know for a fact, but I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised in Canada if it's
If it
about the
was the
same
same
route
way.
as well.
Mhm.
So he said to me, and he's like, you don't think you can teach kindergarten?
Yeah.
He's like, you don't think that you could do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't know. And he's
Yeah.
like, you don't think that you're smart enough to do that?
Mhm.
He's like, of course you can do that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my awakening. It's like, well, yeah, I guess I could. Like,
Yeah.
why can't I do this?
Yeah.
So I decided to take it on, and
Yeah.
then so I've been doing it ever since,
That's
and it's
awesome.
been 4 years
Wow.
of homeschooling, and it's really not as bad
Yeah.
as it sounds.
Yeah.
So I feel like when people really want to,
Mhm.
you could do it,
Yeah.
but you have to like you really have to put the effort into it,
Yes.
and you don't want your like at the end of the day, like you're failing your kid if
Mhm.
you're not doing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like that's to me is like the worst thing you could ever do.
Mhm.
Like I'm all about my kids like like developing them to be smart, thoughtful,
Mhm.
caring,
Mhm.
brave individuals that are
Yeah.
Christ-centered, all the things, right? I want them
Yes.
to be well-rounded. And so when me being their teacher,
Mhm.
if I'm not giving them
Doing all those
what they
things.
need,
Yep.
they're going to go into the world.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so that to me, I decided, you know what? I can
Yeah.
do it and I've been doing it. So I've homeschooled my daughter for um, first grade, second grade, third grade. I did
Mhm.
kinder with her as well. My son is doing, I did kinder and first with him. I'm still finishing first with him right now.
Yeah.
So going forward, I don't know if I'm always going to do it.
Uh-huh.
I'm totally open to regular school, public school,
Right.
whatever. Every kid has their own
Mhm.
way of learning, and
Mhm.
so if my daughter feels good in private school, she'll go there. If my son is
Right.
going to do like a homeschool co-op program, that's fine for him too. Like
Right.
Sammy's really into engineering, and so
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be able to sit down in a regular school for 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
He just doesn't learn the way that Penelope learns. Well, Penelope
Yes.
will sit there and she'll listen, and she wants to have the recognition from the teacher. Oh, yes, you're doing
Yes. You're
good.
doing everything
Sammy
right.
doesn't care about that.
Right. I feel like it used to be like growing up, at least, even I came from like a small town in Michigan, and like growing up, anyone that typically was homeschooled, it was like because of religious reasons. And I feel like
They're
nowadays,
weirdos.
since the
Yeah.
you're right,
They're
and since
weirdos, yeah.
the pandemic, though, I feel like
Right.
it's become so prevalent now, and
Mhm.
people are making that choice because
Right.
they're starting to see like, no, I have these strong morals and values and beliefs for my kids and my family, and I want to raise them. Like and train them up in the way they should go, right? Like the Bible
Yeah.
says, right? And so I think there's an allure to it now. I feel like I'm not gonna lie. There's a part of me. I'm a public school teacher, right?
Right.
And I do love my job. There's a lot of good with it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, there's the struggles with it and some of the frustrations that I have with it. There are days where I'm like, maybe I should just homeschool my children,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I mean, you totally
it's
could.
just such. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of good that can come with it.
Right.
And then I see so many of my women friends that are doing it, and then they're also providing their children with other opportunities to like progress in other areas, like you're saying, like if they have a strength, maybe do a family co-op in a different way, or
Right.
maybe do a sport during the day. Like you might not have that opportunity
Mhm.
in other ways if you're doing public school all the time. So I'm a little envious of it these days.
Yeah, and
but it's
nice,
also
like,
March and I'm burnt out. So
I know. No, I know. Like today we went to the homeschool jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah, that's
and we try to do that throughout the week.
Yes.
We definitely go on Fridays.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't interfere with my gym.
Yeah.
with my gym time.
Right.
But like we have the opportunity to go do something like that. Whereas other kids are stuck in school. They're doing they get their PE, they'll get their recess, but like we get to like hone in on a skill that we're really trying to get good at. And so they have that opportunity, and they have their gym friends, they have their jiu-jitsu friends, and they're comfortable with the coaches. So we're there together, and it's like a little community, and they know my kids. Yeah. They care about my kids. They want my kids to succeed. Yes. And it's a really nice family that we have there at the gym.
So let's speak to that. Let's talk a little bit about jiu-jitsu. So how did you guys find Try and Fight Academy? Yeah, this is not a jiu-jitsu cast, people. No. But it just keeps coming up because it's amazing, and all the people that go there are amazing. Yeah. So
I really don't do jiu-jitsu. I just show up.
Yes, you do.
I want to look cute, and that's pretty much it.
You're so fun. So tell me a little bit, how did you guys find Triumph, and like what kind of motivates you to do all that?
It was really like a fluke how I found it. I was just trying to look for some sort of martial arts for the kids. Like to me, it's a big deal, them being able to defend themselves if, shit hits the fan. Yeah, yeah. So I wanted that for my kids. And we're all in. So when I say that, like, I am told my kids, like, you're going to be doing jiu-jitsu, you can start doing striking, you can do the MMA, whatever you're comfortable with. I want you to be well-rounded in it. And then when you're 18, you can tell me, Mom, I don't want to do this anymore. Right. But by that time, you're going to be able to, like, just put a grown man into a pretzel. Yeah. And I'll be totally okay with that. Yeah. I'll be like, fine, you can quit. I don't care.
Yeah, you even have your youngest.
Yeah. My 4-year-old.
She's so cute. She started doing it, right? Like, she's kicking butt. I love it.
Her little fire. Oh my gosh. It's so cute. I know. She used to just give everybody like stink face at the gym or like anywhere. And she's like, don't talk to me. And now she's able to like express it with her, like she's in the cage, she's cage fighting. I don't know. As a mom, to me, it's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. And
she's very cute.
She's taking it really seriously, and she's kicking and she's punching. And she is my one kid that actually has like a competitive fire inside of her. My other two they're like me. Like we just kind of want to be here a little bit, but not really, and they don't really want to try. They'll just try enough. Whereas Violet is like, I need to win. Oh, that's and I love it. Yeah. And so she's just the best. But the way that we found Triumph was just really a fluke, and then we've been there for 3 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you do the women's class on Wednesdays with us.
I started doing it about a year ago. We're doing it like once a week. And then I really started doing it. Yeah. Started jiu-jitsu, like, I guess it's not full time. I'm doing like 3 hours a week now. Okay. As of January. So just a few months ago.
You do the noon class, right?
I do noons, yeah.
Yeah. That's brave of you, because it's a small class and it's all dudes. Yeah. All dudes. So it's a very intimate class, I would say, and you gotta get up close and personal with them. Yeah. So that's kudos to you, because I don't know that I would do that.
Yeah. So. Sometimes like lately, there's been a girl to come and train as well. So that's been really great for me. Yeah. But I kind of do like that it's smaller, because I feel like I suck so bad that I'm getting more attention to like my mistakes, and so they're like, the coaches will be like, no, it's actually this way, and
so it's more like a personal training session.
Yeah, the smaller groups it's actually helping me, because if there's too many people, then I'm just gonna get too chatty. Yeah, I know myself. I just want to hang out.
But I'm the same way though. There's a part of me, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go to jits, but at the same time, when I'm there, it's like it's social hour, right?
Yeah, you
like,
miss your friends.
Yes, I haven't
seen you in so long. So.
That's what makes it so fun.
I know.
And like, I mean, you again saying like it's become like a family, right? And I can't imagine taking that element out of my life, right? Because we're just kind of invested. We're all in at this point, right?
And it's your family that hurts you.
Right. Yeah, they do.
But out of love?
Yes, for sure. So competitions, Penelope's done how many? She's 2?
So Penelope's done, I believe, 2 competitions. Wonderful. Samuel's done 1. She did her... Oh, so this is why I actually started jiu-jitsu. Yes. So Penelope had her encounter competition last year. I think it was about February, right? Yeah. And there was not that many kids in her bracket. I think there's only 2 kids in her bracket. And one of them goes to our gym. Okay. And she was up against him. And I didn't realize, because I was so new to jiu-jitsu, that you can't have a coach tell you, like, to coach. She cannot have a coach her while she's fighting against someone that she competes in her own gym. So I was her coach, and I was sitting there, and I just felt like so terrible because I didn't know what to tell her. I didn't know how to help her in that moment.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the dad of the child that she was competing with, he knew.
Yeah.
I think he trained a little bit,
Yeah.
and so he knew. And I was like, man, like, she got squashed. Like, this kid was wonderful child. Like, we love their family.
Yes.
He's he's the same weight as her, but he's a foot taller than her.
Yeah.
So he was like wrapped around her, and she lost, but she had a great attitude, and she's like, yeah, I'll do this again. She had a great time.
Yeah.
But with that, I realized that, like, okay, I got to do this. And this is why I started the women's class.
Yeah.
I did it for her.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what needs to be done.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. So you did that to also support the kids. But also, I love this idea that you're saying that you kind of got them in this sport because you know how important it is for them to know how to protect themselves.
Right.
And then, I mean, just you kind of see like how it kind of bleeds into every area of your life too once you're in it, right?
Yeah.
Like what you're learning, the skills you're taking away in this game. And I just love that now as a mother, you're kind of paving the way too and modeling that that same idea for them. I love it. What advice, since you're kind of, I mean, still new to it, like in a sense, what advice would you give to someone that's just starting out? Because just the other night, actually last night, I was at class and this new girl walked in and I saw her eyes. Like once everyone was on the mat, like she saw like it was a lot of men and then a small group of us women. And she was just like, I think I'll just start with the women's class. But I kind of saw the nervousness, like, because it was something she's never done before. And she was just like, whoa, maybe I'll just start with the women's class. And I kind of went over and tried to explain, like, it'll be great. Like, we'll all just kind of wrap our arms around you. But, like, what kind of advice would you give to someone like that that's just starting out or is apprehensive to, like, maybe try something like this?
You're like, well, just wrap our arms around your neck and just choke you a little bit, right?
We literally wrap our arms around you.
I love it. Well, I mean, we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to step on the mat. It sucks. Like, I remember sitting beside you and you were like, why don't you come to the women's class? I'm like, you're out of your mind. Like, I don't want anybody touching me. Like, you're all up in our business. I'm like, it's very intense. And you're like, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. And I think I tell people all the time, why don't you do jiu-jitsu? I tell everybody that I meet. Actually, the other night, there was a military event, and one of the special forces guys, I went up to him, and I mean, we're all drinking, and I went up to him, and I was like, do you do jiu-jitsu? And he's like, no. And I'm like, why not? You're special forces.
You should.
Like, do you not know how to take people down?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we learned that a little bit. Like, they carry guns and stuff.
Yeah.
So I decided in that moment that I'm going to show him how to do a takedown.
I love it.
There is a video out there. Yes. I have it.
Pam, are you like me? I tell everyone, this is my line. Everyone, I get jitsi when I drink.
I was totally jitsi. Yeah. I was like,
that's like the best time. I'm like, let me show you what I know. That's when I have the most bravery, right?
Yeah. And then, it was like on pavement and I didn't want to rip my jeans. And then Andre's in the background. He's like, Pamela, stop it.
I can attest
great.
to that.
I've seen him since.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm
awesome.
watching you. Like, you better start.
For real. That was what was cool about that Gordon Ryan seminar that just happened at Triumph. Yeah. You were there, right?
Really cool,
and that was really cool how he was even saying, like, his goal, he's kind of partnering with the Independence Fund, how they're going to kind of go around the country, like, making sure, like,
they're going
our
to
military,
bases.
right?
Yeah. They're going to go to bases and, like, do jiu-jitsu classes for people in the military. I'm like, can you come to our base? Like, can we have this happen over here? I'm like, how do we, like, reel this in? Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like it's just... That's what I love, like, what Amber does. Like, Amber she's a police officer, and she's training jiu-jitsu. Like, there's not that many in our gym that actually are, like, actually working in the force and do this. I'm like, it's going to save her life.
Yes, absolutely.
Incredible.
Yeah. So let's kind of hop on over to the military side of things. So my heart goes out to you because, you know, Kevin was in the Marine Corps. And he was in the reserves, but he did deploy to Iraq during 2003. And so I understand in that sense, I can, empathize with you because, and I know it's not the same thing. I know like you're immersed in it still, like, but I can understand what it's like to kind of lose the love of your life. I can't imagine having children and going through that, having your spouse be gone. But you guys said that he was deployed to Qatar, and then your family also deployed to Germany. So speak a little bit about that. How was that?
When we first got married, so we weren't even married for like 6 months. He had a deployment for 200 days to Qatar. And it was very intense. Like I was living in a new country. Meeting military was so foreign to me. Like where I grew up in Toronto, like no one's really in the military there.
Right.
Like our military, not like the US military, but like Canadian military, it's like it could do a lot better, right? And they're not very like patriotic or anything.
Yeah.
And then I come to the States and it's like the military is a huge deal. Now I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
So him being gone, like that was a big challenge for me. And also like it was just 12-hour time change. You can't really speak to each other.
Yep.
I don't really know what he's going through because to speak to one another was very challenging.
Yeah.
With the time change and just with everything in general. Like it was just a very challenging time in our lives. I didn't have kids at the time. I was working as a pastry chef. I was with my sweet little dog. And that's pretty much it. That was my life. And so I decided to like really start to exercise. I was just running and I would run like 3, 4, 5Ks a week. And like, that was just like my thing, like my outlet. The military wives are really great and supportive, but after that, like we didn't have any more deployments for a good long time. We had this wonderful opportunity of being deployed to Germany, which was like very safe. The family was allowed to go. So we all went there for about 60 days. Andre was there for another 30 days. It was a cool experience.
So at this point, you would have had Penelope,
Samuel, and Violet were all
of them.
So
Yeah,
all my 3 kids. So like my eldest was, I think she was 6. Samuel was 4, and then Violet wasn't even 1 yet. So just like itty bitties with us in Germany, which is kind of wild. Yeah, but it was cool that we got to be there together. And then actually, you know how the military works, right? So when we met a family in Scott Air Force Base. So that's in Illinois. And then we go to Germany, and then they're deployed there as well.
Wow.
So how cool is that,
Yeah,
right? It's
that
like
is
someone
awesome.
we know.
Yep.
Like we used to hang out with them when we were in St. Louis, and now we're here with them again in Germany.
Yeah.
But I mean, deployments are hard. They suck.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful that the kind of job that he has, he's not like boots on the ground. Like I can't even imagine what you went through.
Yeah.
Like, that is insane. That is so hard for you guys.
Yeah.
So like I feel for you in that way, like where I feel like nobody really understands what you're really going through unless you're in it. And like that's why I really love the community that I have with the families in the squadron, the pilot wives. Like we get it. Like we were in it together. And so it wasn't a deployment, but in August 2021, my husband volunteered to go help with the evacuation in Afghanistan.
Yeah, wow.
And I remember like a few weeks before he was asked to volunteer, we would just be like sitting outside and just enjoying the evening, and we were watching what was happening in Afghanistan. They're like, the Taliban's now taking over this town. They're moving in, like they're taking over other areas. And Andre's like, shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And then one day, he said, like, we're watching the news. Like, Andre comes up to me and he's just like, they just turned the electricity off in the prisons, and the Americans left. And I'm like, what? And then chaos ensued.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going, I know, like, I'm not supposed to, like, say certain things, but I'm going to say certain things.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of person
Speak your heart, but you're also,
I mean,
you were in it.
Like, I was in it. It was the Biden administration. Like, did the worst, like, botched, horrible evacuation out of Afghanistan. And it put so many people's lives at risk, including my husband, including the people in my squadron. And Americans were killed.
Yeah.
And so Andre volunteered to help with the evacuation of people.
Yeah.
So we didn't know if it was going to be like who he's evacuating. They like instantly put teams in Charleston on standby, and so the people were there waiting to just take off whenever they could. Andre told me like before he was evacuating, he's like, I can't communicate with you. He's like, I can't send you anything. I can't be texting with you. Like if my phone's traced, he's like, it's not allowed. So we have to do like special codes to like speak to each other.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this means that. So it wasn't even like, hey, I love, like he couldn't speak to me. So one day I know like he's gone, and it was like a whole route to even get there. I'm like, it's so far, and then you have to like pick up certain supplies. And the 2 days before, Andre's telling me that they need so much food. They need like baby formula. They need diapers. Like so many people. It's just such chaos. And like the staff there, like the Americans there are working like 24 hours a day shifts. Like they're just so drained. So I called the local Harris Teeter, and I was like, hey, my husband's going to Afghanistan to help with this evacuation. Is there anything you can donate for him to bring? And they like let us go into Harris Teeter, and the one at Ardrey Callan
Really?
Highway, yeah. And then just like load up shopping carts of whatever for them. So Andre brought all that to work, and he ends up like taking off. They took off, and it was, all the wives came to say goodbye to our husbands, and we're just looking like the kids were so little, and they just took off, and you're like, are we ever gonna see you again?
Oh my gosh.
It's like, is this, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Pam, you told me I wasn't gonna cry.
I know, we're not crying today. Hey, he's home, he's coming here soon.
Yeah, no, I know he's here.
But like you don't know what's gonna happen.
It's hard.
And actually I was we were at Triumph then.
Yeah.
So, but I was felt very new. And so I remember being there and just like watching the kids' classes, and I just couldn't even like tell everybody what I was going through, because it was just so crazy. We were just heavy in prayer. Yeah. And we were just, I didn't know what to expect. So the day that he landed is the day that the suicide bomber killed 13 Americans.
Oh my gosh.
And our phones were like lit up. All the wives are losing their minds. Yeah. What's happening? Have you heard from your husband? Like, we're not even supposed to be like texting them, and we're so stressed out. Yeah. And we're like, is there any news from our crew? Like, well, what's going on? Yeah. And then finally we got news that the guys were okay. And you're just like, okay, we can breathe. But oh my gosh, Americans were just killed. Yeah. Like, this is how crazy it is. And we don't even know how far like Abbey Gate is from the landing strip. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys remember, like, just like come back a bit. Mm-hmm. There's a viral video out there of my husband's plane, not his plane, but the plane that he flies, taking off in Afghanistan. Yep. And there's people hanging off of it. Yeah. Like, it is, people were willing to risk their lives and to die that way than to deal with the Taliban. Yeah. That's how crazy it is. Yeah. And so when you guys know that, like, I get very emotional about situations in our country, it's because of this, because I have skin in the game. Yeah. And so absolutely. So my husband ends up landing. Then they have to vet people. Yeah. How do you vet people? Who are you vetting? Yeah. You have such time restraints. Yeah. Who's getting on your plane? Yeah. People are loading onto his plane. There was over 600 Afghanis. There weren't Americans there. The Americans were the crew. Wow. They had 600 Afghanis loaded onto the plane like something you have never seen in your entire life. If the picture wasn't taken, you wouldn't believe it.
Did you just share that the other day?
The other day.
I saw that. Yeah.
There was 200 kids on that plane.
Oh my gosh.
These are the lives that were saved. And they were sent to Germany. Mm. And so, like I said, we were deployed to Germany. Yeah. And so the following year, guess who our neighbors were?
Someone here.
A lot of the Afghanis. I'm serious. It was crazy. You're just like, wow. Like, these people's, like, their lives have been changed because of Americans. Yeah. And
I
like
love that.
our crews went to go help people
Yeah.
who they don't know, risk their lives for not even Americans,
Yeah.
risk their lives for absolute strangers. And there's like, I don't even know how to like say like if there's, it's not even gratitude. It's just like, it's amazing the
Yeah.
sacrifice
Yeah.
that these men and women
Mhm.
will do for the United States, for their country,
Right.
for their kids,
Right.
for other people's kids,
Yeah.
for people who might not even like them.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like
So
that is
sacrificial. Yeah.
such bravery.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
I really love our troops. I
I
really love our
know.
veterans. You
Yeah.
know, like wherever I can help them, even it's just smiling with them,
Yeah.
talking with them.
Serving them in a
Like
way. Yep.
it doesn't you don't need much. Just like to joke around with them, like just make them smile. You
Yeah.
know, like people have been through horrible things, and like my husband,
Mhm.
his whole body works.
Yeah.
Like he can do anything.
Mhm.
He's coming over here soon. We're hanging out.
Yeah.
Like he's totally fine. Like thank you God. Like I pray
Mhm.
so much for that.
Mhm.
But there's so many people that we know who have
Yeah.
had like body parts blown off. They
Mhm.
have to deal with that, like traumatic brain injuries
Yeah.
from serving.
Mhm.
You know, like this is just it's very near and dear to my heart. So I really try to help out whichever way I can with them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's so amazing. And thank you to Andre and everyone that went over there. That's amazing. To hear that. That's like, I feel like I just remember it happening like yesterday. It was infuriating.
Yes.
But also at the same time, it's just so rewarding to know that like there are people that are willing to do that. But thank you to you and the kids too, because that's just
Crazy.
such a sacrifice. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like going back to even when Kevin was deployed, I never in a million years thought that would happen.
Right.
I mean, we were just college kids.
Oh my gosh.
And he's in the reserves, and we're like, yeah, he's doing the 1 weekend a month thing, and
Right.
like we never ever thought you'd get the call, hey, you're going to war, and then showing up in Iraq, and then like missiles flying overhead and like things like that happening. It was
Horrifying.
insane. And I do remember there was a time, and again, it's not the same thing. It's not apples and apples, but like, I do remember there was a time where I wasn't able to talk to him, and it was months, and you don't know what's happening.
Right.
And I remember like kind of cultivating the other girls, the girlfriends at the time, because we weren't wives at the time, but
Right.
girlfriends at the time that also had skin in the game in a sense. And we would just kind of, they became my people. Like I had friends, but they were my girls because we would do sleepovers. We would do like whatever we could because it was just like that hole in your heart, knowing that the other half of you is off in the unknown and you don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know how he's coming home.
Yes, absolutely.
If he's coming home, how he's coming home.
Yes. And it's not the same circumstance. No, I know it was a different operation all on its own, but just knowing that they're going into that like tumultuous situation and you don't know the outcome. And in the same sense too, I just remember in college too where it was an 11-hour difference, I think, between, because he started in Kuwait, but then they would also go into Iraq. And but I just remember like knowing like he was going to call, but I never knew where I was going to be or in that moment. So I can again like empathize with that, just knowing that like it's so scary, but at the same time, I'm so thankful that for people like Andre or like Kevin or anyone that like is willing to put their life on the line or serve.
Yeah.
And it's so doing it knowing the culture of America in a way, how some Americans seem kind of ungrateful or you seem like it's not that people don't appreciate it.
Right.
But in my eyes as a Christian, I just also think like, that's what Jesus did, right? So in a way, I'm kind of like, what a great testimony to do that.
Yeah,
and to do that for your brothers.
It's the biggest sacrifice,
Yes,
like
yes.
it's giving up yourself for others.
For other people.
Incredible. It is so brave. It's the most wonderful thing.
Yes.
And like having small kids and being in that position, whereas they don't really understand what happened, but they will know what happened. I will let them know. I will remind them. We will talk about it.
Yep.
All the wives, what they went through, what they're going through. It's very hard. It's very, very hard, but they're very strong women. They're very independent and they're so freaking brave.
Yeah.
Like, they're like a group of badass women, my pilot wives. Like, I
Yeah.
love those girls.
That's
They are
awesome.
so freaking tough.
Yeah.
They solve all the problems, and we kind of just stick together, and we're like, which husband's gone? Who needs help?
Yeah.
And so actually going forward,
Yes.
we're having another deployment,
Okay.
a 90-day one coming up.
Mm.
So that's going to be this summer.
Pam.
And most of the squadron is going. And so with my husband's new position means that I'm helping out more and making sure that everyone's going to be taken care of. We're making lists of who's doing the full deployment, who's doing the half deployment, who's not deploying. We have numbers. I'm working directly with people in the squadron to give me exactly what I need so that I can help the families, making sure that everyone is taken care of during this challenging time.
Okay. So Andre will actually be spearheading
Yes.
that as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will be praying for you, and
Thank
we will be
you.
wrapping our arms around you.
Thank you.
Note to self, we will plan many activities to
Thank
keep
you.
your mind off things.
Yes. Well, I'm very fortunate to have
Yeah.
my gym family,
Yes.
my neighbors,
Yes.
where I have a full plate. And
Yeah.
I love it. So
Yeah. That's good. You
we're not
have
gonna
to stay
be-
busy.
Yep. I'm that kind of person.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll be okay. But thank you. I'm down. I'm coming to hang out.
Yeah. Anytime. I love that. So let's go back to because I think this kind of goes hand in hand too. Let's go back to the citizenship, American citizenship. So you were born in Toronto, Canada.
Yes.
And so you became a new American citizen as of 2022. My first question is, how hard was that test?
Okay, so it
so
depends.
tell us the
I
process,
think
I
it
guess.
depends on
Yeah.
who you're married to.
Oh.
I feel like your husband would probably do the same thing.
He probably would.
He's like, you don't need to memorize the questions. You have to understand
Yeah.
the reason behind each question and the
Yes.
history of it.
Yes.
So it wasn't just memorize the 200 questions that you have to
Wow.
know the answer to.
Wow.
It is know every single thing about the United States of America.
Wow, girl.
So I was like, amazing. I was ready to go. Like after I had my I became an American. We went to DC, and I was ready for like a surprise interview. I was hoping that somebody would just like surprise interview me like in front of the George Washington Monument and be like, can you tell me when America was founded? Like anything. I'm like,
Like,
ask
I
me
got
anything.
you.
I'm ready. And
Yeah.
nobody came up to me. But
No.
I pretty much forgot everything already with time. It's called mom brain. I haven't slept in 9 years.
I know. I know.
But becoming American, so had the test, was it hard? No. Did I study my ass off? Yes. So it wasn't hard. I got asked 6 questions. So if you pass, the way you pass is they have 10 questions.
Mm-hmm.
If you pass 6, then you pass.
Okay.
So I passed 6, and I was like, I'm ready. Like,
Yeah.
how you gonna ask me 10? I know 200. Like, ask me. They're like, no, you're good. I'm like, oh, okay.
So it's that type of test. It's not like
It was a verbal test.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That's probably more intimidating though, because someone else is asking the questions as opposed to just a written test.
Yeah. It was a breeze for me. I was
Yeah.
like, this is amazing.
That's awesome. You probably know more than a lot of
but you know what?
people that were born here.
I do. Well, I'm a very patriotic person.
Yes,
like
I
I
can
am.
tell.
Like I love the United States. Like I
Yes.
have my America pants.
I
I have
love
my
it.
America hats. Like
I
I don't care. I'm that person. But
Yeah.
actually, what happened? For my daughter do you know the Tamagotchis?
No.
Okay, so like they're these tiny little electronic toys.
Okay.
And it's like you have to keep them alive. It's
Okay.
like a little egg or something. You keep it alive. So my daughter had one, and you need a tiny, very thin
Okay.
screwdriver
Mm-hmm.
to put the battery in,
Okay.
to open it, put the battery in. I had the screwdriver in my purse
Uh-huh.
before I had my test.
Okay.
So I'm stressed that I'm going to have my test for like my citizenship. You have to go through security before
Uh-huh.
you enter the building. And they're like, what's in your pockets, ma'am? I'm like, nothing, I'm good. And he's like, just put your purse through.
She's got a screwdriver.
But it's like a very sharp screwdriver.
they're like,
not
"What
a
is this?"
regular screwdriver. Oh my gosh, the security guards, like the police, they're not even
Yeah.
security guards.
No.
They're like federal agents.
Yeah.
They're like, ma'am, what's in your
Oh,
purse?
no.
And I'm like, it's this. They're like, put it down, ma'am. And they're like holding their pistol. And I was like, oh my gosh. Can you imagine my nerves like right
Yeah,
before? And I was like,
that's
oh my
so
gosh. I'm like, they're like, you have to leave the building, put it in your car, and come back. And I was like, oh my God, I was so stressed out.
Oh my word.
But I mean, it was fine. I passed the test, but it was just like something I totally did not need.
How did you celebrate? You had to have celebrated. Did you do like a party?
Well, it was like like a 2-hour drive away. I mean, we came home and I think we took the kids to Great Wolf Lodge. But I think I drank like a lot of beer that night. I was like,
I love it.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, you had a laundry list of like expertise within like the culinary arts area. So speak to this, because I remember the first time I met you, I'm like, what do you do? And you're like, I'm a pastry chef. And I was like, what? Yeah. Never have I ever in 43 years met someone like that. Yes. So I think that's so awesome. Yeah. And if you haven't tried any of Pam's baked goods, they're
just come to the gym, because
come to the gym all the time. She's amazing. Yeah, we'll do jiu-jitsu and then have a cupcake. It's great. Yeah. But anyway, so speak to that. Like you had some amazing just fun. Like, I mean, criteria here. So.
Yeah, I went to culinary school, and then I got an internship in the Fairmont in Jasper, Alberta. So I moved out pretty young. I went there, and I studied garde manger, which is like cold kitchen, saucier, which is sauces, and then I did pastries, and then I realized that I liked the pastries because nobody was crazy in the pastry department. Yeah. Whereas everyone else was, the chef lifestyle is not really like my cup of tea. It's very, like people will be very much into like heavy drinking or like into drugs, and like it's not for me. And what I noticed was in pastries, they weren't doing that. They took it very seriously. And so I stuck with pastries, and I went from there. I went back to Toronto when I was done that. And I worked in many bakeries, supper clubs. I started teaching. I actually went to cake college after that.
Wow.
It was so fun. I loved cake college. Oh my gosh.
Do you get like a certificate that's like you're like master of cake baking or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. It was the best. And then I knew the dean, the owner of the cake college, and I just kept telling her, I'm like, can you just hire me? Like, can I work here? Yeah. And she's like, yeah, let's go. So then I started teaching baking and pastry classes, and I was doing like pulled sugar work, and just, I don't know, I loved it. And at the same time, I started volunteering at the Princess Margaret Cancer Hospital. Oh. And so when I was younger, when I was in high school, my sister was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. Oh my. And the hospital that she would go to on a regular basis for her chemo treatments was Princess Margaret Hospital. So then when I was older, I just kind of like full circle, I decided, you know what, I need to be doing something. I need to be giving back. And so I started volunteering there. And then simultaneously, I started working at Williams-Sonoma. I was their in-house pastry chef, and then I would also teach cooking classes there. And so everything in my life was just like starting to lift off with my career. And I was like, this is awesome. Like I'm feeling really good about everything. And then I met Andre.
Oh man.
And
you were wrecked.
Yep. And then I was out of I remember telling the nurses at the Princess Margaret Hospital, and I was like, I met this guy, this American guy.
Dark and handsome.
Yeah, he's a pilot. And they're like, no, Pamela, don't go, Pamela, don't do it. And I was like, I love
him. Of course.
And then I was like engaged in like 2 months, married in 6.
Whoa.
Moved to the United States.
Oh my goodness.
Like it was crazy. Wow. And that was like, we were like a whirlwind. And here we are 12 years later, 3 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. And I have not, actually, no, I did work as a pastry chef in St. Louis. Okay. But I haven't been working professionally as a pastry chef since. I've been raising my children, and I do it for fun.
She does do it for fun.
I do it for fun.
If you need a cake, I'm sure she'll make you one.
I will. She's very expensive.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
This
really
we know. If you know Pamela, she's got great taste. Yeah. Expensive taste. Yeah. I love it. So go back to the cake baking, because you were on a Canadian Food Network show, Cakewalk. Right. Talk about that. That is awesome. And she's got proof, ladies and gentlemen.
Proof. If you want to dig on YouTube, I actually did it a few months ago, and I found it and I showed it to my kids. It's a full episode. I think it's episode 12 or 13. So you guys can actually look it up. And I was on the Canadian Food Network channel called Cakewalk. Was there one of the somebody famous was like the host. I can't remember her name right now.
Oh my
Caroline
gosh.
something, but it was really from like Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think Caroline.
I was
Ray.
gonna say the blonde, but I think they're all
they're
blonde
all
on that
blonde.
show.
Yeah, so it was
Yes.
really, it was just like absolutely hilarious. The episode like made me laugh so hard looking back at it. It just got funnier and funnier. So yes, I did that. I did some cake showcases, live cake competitions, and then I was also featured in some Wedding Bells magazines, Canadian um, wedding magazines of my
Wow.
work. And so, yeah, I did some fun stuff back in the day.
That's awesome.
And now I just
There's still time.
bake for fun with my kids.
That's awesome. And I do see like all those reels and like videos
Yeah.
and stuff on Instagram, and it's so cute. Violet's always there helping you. She's
Yeah,
your little sidekick.
Violet's ready to go. She's like, Mommy, every time I crack an egg, she's like, Mommy, can I whisk it? I'm like, let's go.
And then in the
Like, all
meantime,
right.
you have me over here like, what do? I don't know how to make anything. And so, yeah, we keep saying at the gym, we need Pam to do some cooking classes and teach us all. You need a cooking show.
Yeah.
We're going to make that happen.
We'll do something.
Yeah,
like
we're going to do
that.
something fun.
Yeah, why not?
For
We
real.
have a quiet summer coming up, so
Yeah.
that would be something.
What about the supper club? Speak about that some more.
I worked at Toronto Supper Club, which is very interesting. So that supper club is fine dining
Okay.
that turns into a nightclub.
Ooh.
Very bougie. Very, very bougie.
I love it.
I loved it. And
Yeah.
so you have like we had our own pastry department. There was just two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked separate we were upstairs, and then there was like the main kitchen downstairs. But it got rowdy.
Yeah.
Like it turns into a nightclub. So you have like bottle service, you have like the DJ. It turned into a super fun place. And so there was a lot of very famous people that would come by and like party there, eat there. So like
name drop. Just do it.
so
Who are
like
some of those people?
Toronto Raptors, like Toronto Maple Leafs, and we had Lady Gaga come by one time, which is like when she was like brand new, like her first song.
Mm-hmm. Just Dance.
She fell down the back. She fell down the back stair. Yeah, one of like the bussers had to catch her because apparently she was like having too much fun.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess was there. Pamela Anderson. We did like a fine dining dinner for her one time. I don't know who else. There was just everybody went there.
That is so awesome.
Everybody went there. It was a cool place. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So also one of your new adventures also, and you can also plug this as well. Charcuterie boards.
Oh yes.
Right?
Yes.
So why don't you plug that? Because you do have a social for that, right?
Yes.
A social media account.
Flyboards. SC.
Yep,
yes,
on Instagram.
Flyboard Etsy on Instagram.
Okay.
I do charcuterie boards just for fun. Something that
They're beautiful. So
I
beautiful.
just like it's just I'm just like a creative mind. Like I need an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
I love making things. I love using my hands. Like that's how my brain works. And I just have to have. I like to have those moments of where I'm just, even though there's chaos in my background, I have 3 kids and I have all the things going on in my house. I'm like, I love just making things beautiful. It's very, very important to me. Yeah. And it's just like a de-stressor, even though it's always a stressful situation. Right. It's a de-stressor at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, it's interesting to me because I'm like with recipes, anything, baking recipes, anything. Like I put my family to shame because they love to bake and things like that. And I was like the youngest girl in my family. I had 3 older sisters and then a younger brother. And I just like, the only thing I did was like maybe cut, dice, like things like that in the kitchen. But like I never really caught on to like anything in the kitchen. Right. So like I'm ill-equipped. I will say that.
By, like your family's surviving and thriving.
Right? I'm like, how about 3 ingredients or less? And it has to be less than a 5-minute thing for me to actually to capture my attention. But
sometimes it's just too much.
Yeah. Well, also when you're like on the go, right? It's just so much. So.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Wow, that's awesome. And so the charcuterie boards, you do the themed boards. They're really cool looking.
Yeah, for like Halloween or Valentine's Day.
Yes.
I just like to add all the cutesy
I feel like you even had one like air travel. Like there was a plane one.
Yeah, because it's called Flyboard. So then I always have like little airplanes on there.
So
it's like we're trying to do like theme it with like the different sizes of airplanes, like a jumbo aircraft, like medium aircraft. And, yeah, just to make it cutesy.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, you also plan social events, but I feel like that's right up your alley because, like you said, like
Yeah.
you plan the social events for the squadron. Like, don't you
Yeah.
do the Christmas party?
I
Like,
do
you
the
guys
Christmas
plan
party every
that?
year. The thing about I don't know if everybody knows this about people in the military, but they
Mhm.
get really, really rowdy. Like they are
I
a
think I know this. I've been to
fun
some military
they are a
balls.
fun group of people.
Yeah.
Like like whatever embarrassing thing you have done, someone has done something worse. So you never feel bad about seeing them the next time.
Yeah. Yes.
They're wonderful. So yes, I always plan the Squadron Christmas party. Going forward, there's going to be more events that I'm planning just
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
things that have changed recently
Yes.
with my husband's position. So
Yes.
it's very fun for me. It's a lot of work, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of unpaid work, but
Yeah.
I like that I do it. I admire the fact that I get to do it. I
Yeah.
have that opportunity to do it. And then I have so many of the wives in the squadron that reach out and they're like, hey, where can I help
Right.
you? Why
Right.
don't we set up something for this? And they all come together and they
Yeah.
all help one another. So it's a really nice
Yeah.
community that we have.
And I feel like you're kind of doing God's work in that sense. Like it's a blessing to other people. You're filling other people's cup. Like, and I also feel like there's so much to be valued in the sense that you guys are a community. You're breaking bread together. You're having fun together,
Right.
but you're also there in those hard times when
Yes.
you both like everyone needs it, right? Like
Right.
you're lifting each other up. So I think it's really important. So like I chair the social events at school, and as hard as it can be sometimes because it does seem like it's not like the extra work goes unnoticed or you're not being necessarily compensated for your work time, energy, effort, whatever it may be. Like it is fulfilling in its own right when you see everyone in that moment enjoying each other's
Yes.
company and they're getting out of that stressful situation. Like I know specifically with work and teaching, it can be stressful, and to get together for a happy hour or to get together for a social event, it's kind of the last thing on people's minds sometimes. But I find almost every single time when they do it, they leave smiling, they're happy, they're fulfilled. And
Right.
it's almost like you need those moments.
Yes, you absolutely
because we're in the trenches together.
Right.
And we need those moments where we're actually enjoying each other's company because, we're with each other through the thick and thin, right? Like it's really important. So I think that's good that you're doing it. And
Yeah.
I think it's a blessing, right? For
It
other
really
people.
is. And then my favorite part is like when people come up to you,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Who planned this?" And I'm like, "I did." Like,
Duh.
it was me.
Who
And they're like,
else?
"You
Yeah.
did?" I'm like, "Who else is gonna do it?"
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, it was me."
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
really funny.
So, with Andre's new position, so he's squadron commander.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're
Yeah.
like first lady.
Yeah.
That was so cool. So you posted some of the videos the other day.
Yeah.
I texted Pam. I was like, "You're like military royalty."
Yeah.
I'm like, that is so awesome.
I was like,
I like teared up on your behalf just watching the
it
kids
was
and you.
so cool. And I made sure that I got like the most Melania Trump outfit
Yeah,
that I
you
could
did.
find on Amazon that I was like
It was so
available for
pretty.
me. And I was like, I went through so much and I was like, I found the one. It was like $30 and I was like, I'm wearing this.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah. And then
You looked beautiful. It was awesome.
so I'm just saying
Mhm.
that when we were in Alaska, we were there and we saw a change of command because that's what happened with my
Okay.
husband had a change of command. So like
Yeah.
the former commander leaves his position to do another position, and then the DO, so the director of operations, who was my husband at the time, ends up getting the squadron commander position. If he's awarded it, right? If he has all the right merits for it. And so one time when we were in Alaska, we saw a change of command, and it was in the hangar, the airplane hangar, and it was just like such a presidential vibe that
Yeah.
you got. Where normally when there's a change of command in our squadron, it's like in an auditorium, which is fine, but it's not like the vibe.
Yeah.
So I just told Andre, and I was like, are you going to do it in the hangar? And he's like, oh, I didn't think about that. He's like,
Yeah.
I'll see. So they made it happen. I was
That's
I felt like I
so
had a
awesome.
part in that, like planting the seed of like,
Yeah.
this looks so good. I was waiting for Trump to walk in. I was sitting there as perfect as I could, and I was like, any minute now.
And I'm so shocked
Always
you
shaking
did not
his
arrange
hand.
that because knowing you would
I
make it
know.
happen.
I was ready. Yeah.
So awesome.
It was such a cool event, though, and my son, I think, out of every single person there, my son Samuel, my 7-year-old, had the absolute best time, and he was
Yeah.
so excited for his dad.
Yeah.
Where he was just there saluting at any chance
In his
he
little
could
suit.
get, and he had his, you have to put your hand like in a fist when you do the salute with the other hand, and he was ready. He was like, Dad, I'm a part of the team. Like I'm in charge of the snack bar now. Like we're ready to go, Dad. And it was just such a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Super
awesome.
proud to see him earn that role.
Yeah.
Also, his parents were there.
Yeah.
So like, as a mother, to see your son get that position, it was amazing. Like I had such like emotions for her because one day I might be seeing my son do that, where I'm so ready for my son to join the military. Like other mothers are like, oh no, I know. And I'm like, this is what he's meant to do it. Like he wants to do it. He's gonna do it. I'm like, he's gonna gain so much for himself and sacrificing so much. He's gonna learn so much about himself, others, the world. Like just such an amazing thing to do. Like go do it. Go for it, Sammy.
I mean, he's doing jiu-jitsu. He's gonna be like a
I told him we're doing jiu-jitsu, we're doing wrestling.
Right?
Wrestling, and then the wrestling you're gonna go into Air Force Academy, and then the wrestling is gonna give you the scholarship. So then you get all your way there, and then you can start flying. I'm like, we got it all locked down. That's awesome. What's happening. So we're not leaving the gym.
No, you can't. You're not allowed to.
We're all in. Yeah.
So with the jiu-jitsu, and I know, like, looking at your pictures and photographs and kind of seeing where you've been, like, you have been on a weight loss journey, and now it's even more so. You're kind of firming that up more. So, like, you're building muscle, right? Like your journey lately. If anyone's been following you, they've seen you've been in the gym consistently. Since the beginning of the year, you made a commitment to kind of rededicate like your mission, like your passion to lift and be healthy. And so to speak a little bit about the lifting journey and the weight loss journey and all of
that. Having 3 kids destroyed my body. Gained like 60 pounds. I know that. Like each pregnancy, and then you keep a little bit, you lose it, but then you keep a little bit each time. I remember just like waking up and just being in a lot of pain. Just soreness. Like just like, oh, my back hurts, my shoulder. I got frozen shoulder. Then I started getting really sick at night, and I would have like these like horrible like vomiting like attacks that just wouldn't go away. And this was like I think two years ago. Turns out my gallbladder was ruptured.
Oh wow!
And so I had to have my gallbladder removed. And it's like, well, what was the cause of it? And so I had to have like very big surgery of having it removed, and then like dealing with that. And so that kind of like triggered me onto being like, I really have to be careful with what I'm intaking into my body. You know, being a chef, like what am I cooking with? Fat. I'm cooking with heavy cream, with butter, with anything that was like very, very fatty, because it's delicious. Like, when you go to restaurants, like that's what's put into your food, and like that's what I was taught. And so my food's good. But then I had to like really tweak around that, and then I decided that I have 3 kids. I am not gonna lose more organs. It's not happening. I have to get my act together. And so about I think when I was turning 40, I decided to take it seriously, and I started training. And, you know, I started like lifting weights like here and there. I was very uncomfortable with it. And I was like, I don't know. I have to try to do something. But it was like more heavy on the cardio side. And I was doing whatever I could, like cardio wise, like just to get the sweat out. That was like my kickstart. Then I started lifting light. And then I started, as of yesterday, like what I was lifting, I'm like, what happened to me? Like, I cannot believe how strong I have gotten. Like, these are huge, these are big numbers that I'm able to
put up,
lift, to push, whatever. I'm like, did I ever think that I would be able to do this before? Like, no. But what has happened is that I've gained so much confidence in myself where, you know, like I can show my kids, like, mommy's strong. Like, I am not going to be worried about walking up the stairs when I'm in my 80s. I'm strong enough to do that. Maybe carrying my groceries inside my house and lifting them on the counter. If I fall, is mom going to break a hip? No, her muscles are wrapped around her bones so well because she worked out so hard when she was younger that she's going to fall. She's not going to break her hip. And she has jiu-jitsu. So she knows how to fall properly. Okay? So it's all like, it's full circle.
So I know, definitely. And I know what you mean. Like, I love my mom. She's so cute. Like, and she's a little older, but like I remember her telling me, "Well, wait till you're in your
Yeah.
70s
Yeah.
and blah blah blah." And
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, like, no, I refuse to accept that. Like, I'm
Right.
not going to. Like, no, I'm kind of setting the pace now so that when I am older, it'll be a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
It won't be perfect, but like it'll still be easier. I was also going to speak to the fact that like even with the lifting kind of transferring over to your jiu-jitsu game, it's only going to make your jiu-jitsu better. You know, the jiu-jitsu is going to make your lifting better. It will. It will.
I
It's
swear,
time.
like, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting strong. And then I go to jujitsu and I just get so slammed. And I'm like, how am I so weak?
I know.
It doesn't matter. Like, I'm still trying. And I'm like, every time I go there, I think, like, I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this because dementia runs in my family. I need to learn something new at an older age so that I'm able to process better, so I can retain more information. Like, it's a whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now, why I'm eating so clean. I've never felt better.
I know.
Why I'm lifting heavy weights, because I'm strong now.
Right.
Why I'm doing jujitsu. Yes, I'm getting my ass beat all the time. I've like beat 2 people like twice in like a year. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, but it feels
I
good.
did it. But, you know, like, everybody likes doing jiu-jitsu with me because they always win. They're like, you're not allowed to leave.
Yes, I know, right? No, it's definitely, it's great to feel like when you're eating clean, it's the best feeling ever. And I always tell myself, I'm like, why do I always backslide again? Like, I'll be doing so good for so long.
Honestly, like, I feel like with me, the hardest thing is like, I get to such a good weight, or my body's looking really good, and then I get loose. You know, like, you get loose with like how determined or strict you are with things. And that's when you really start to mess up. So I got really mad at myself a year ago because I got down to what my goal was, and then I messed it up, and then I ended up gaining like 20 pounds. And so now I'm like, I'm getting back down, and so I have like 4 more to go to make it like. And I know it's not about the weight,
right?
And I know that I've gained a ton of muscle. I understand that, but it's just like, health-wise, I just want to be more fit than I was before.
Yes.
For my kids. Yeah.
Well, and I've seen the growth, so you're doing an awesome
Thank
thing.
you.
Another hobby that you spoke about was like you've been doing the shooting.
Oh, yeah,
you've been going
really
women's nights.
Yes.
The Valentine Range. You want to plug that too?
Every month on Ladies' Night, I go to the Valentine Range, and they're the most lovely staff you could ever imagine. You go in there and you just feel very taken care of. You don't like. I went in there like just as dumb as I could be. Like, from Canada, I've never really shot a gun before. I go in there. I mean, other than in Nicaragua, where they let you do anything you want when you're a little kid, and they're like, "Yeah, you want to shoot M16s?
No big deal.
Like, no problem." Yeah. So I did that, but like in Canada, guns are illegal. So you can't have one. So like police officers they don't walk around with guns.
What?
Yeah, they have guns.
I don't think I knew that.
They have guns with rubber bullets. They have batons.
Yeah. Does crime still happen?
Of course.
Of course it does. Okay.
Of course it does.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So I decided to teach myself all the things with shooting. So I've been going regularly for a good year. And I feel a heck of a lot better. And every time I go, I mean, not every time, maybe like a handful of times I've gone by myself, which I don't even care anymore. I'm like, I'm going. Nobody can come. That's fine. I'm going to go anyway.
It's good.
And I have a good time doing it. And my whole thing is that being a protector, being a mother has changed me so much. And so that's why we do jiu-jitsu. Like, I have had so many really scary situations happen in my life. Where I have been attacked, where I have been sexually harassed, verbally harassed. And it's been very, very scary things that have happened to me where I don't want that to happen to my girls. Yeah. And so I wasn't given the tools when I was younger on how to prevent these things. I guess it was just, it's not going to happen to you. But it did happen to me, and it happened numerous times. Luckily for me, like, I'm a very... like, I have a fire inside of me. Like, I've always had this like sense of like don't mess with me. Like, I'll stand up for myself. I am not like a pushover whatsoever. Even when I had no reason to be, I always had that. It's like God was like, I'm going to protect you, and like I'm giving you a voice. And so I've always carried that with me. But truly, like, there has been some horrible things that have happened. I have been like chased down the street. I've had restraining orders put on men. Like I've had people like say the most vile things you could possibly think of. And there's a great chance those things are going to happen to my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm all about like protection for my girls, for our family, for my son. I'm taught myself how to shoot. I know I'm a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
I'm not amazing. But
Yeah.
I'm shooting a 9.
That's
That's
awesome.
pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I'm doing jiu-jitsu now. I'm teaching my kids
Yep.
jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Like I'm trying to do like all the things that they'll be able to carry forward when they're older.
Yeah.
To
Life
protect
skills.
themselves.
Yeah.
Life skills.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the sports that I have my kids in. That's what's important.
Yeah.
To me. Yeah.
I think about like CrossFit, right? They say that's like functional fitness, right? And it's supposed to be fitness that like can help you in all areas of your life, right? Like, but it sounds like everything you're doing, right, is in the same sense, right? Like you're doing things that are super important, and I feel like our society has gotten away from teaching. Like, in fact, they try to like downplay it and make it seem like it's like, oh, to shoot a gun might be a bad thing, and like it's not. Like it's to protect yourself. Yeah. And I think it's so admirable that you're teaching your kids and doing all of these things. And the fact that you did this, like you're born and raised in Canada, of all places, and then you're coming to America, and you've seen it. You've seen it in Nicaragua, like the poverty. You've seen all these different things. Like your experiences have shaped your beliefs. And I think that's just so important for other people to consider. Right. We all have different experiences, right? And so like you have the evidence of those life experiences that are backing up like why everything you're teaching your kids is so important. Yeah. It's so awesome.
Hard work.
Yeah.
There's no handouts. Mm-hmm. Do better, be better. Mm-hmm. Pray. Yep. Don't ever let God leave your heart. Always, always pray. And I'm telling my kids I pray with them every single day. We get in the car, we say our prayers. Yep. We go to bed, we say our prayers. They know that God gave me them, and He gave them to me. Mm-hmm. We are together. So anytime my kids are fighting, I tell them like, God did not give each other to us. Give us each other so that we can fight. We're not here to do that. Yeah. We're here to love each other. You're here to teach me, and I'm here to teach you. This is what we do as a family. Yeah. And we're here to God has given each of us a gift, and it's important for us to share our gift with the world. Yeah. Yep. And all of us have our unique gifts. And so my daughter's super creative. Like that's her gift. Mm-hmm. Samuel's really has like a brain of like an engineer, of a pilot. Like he needs to learn about airplanes. He needs to fly. And then Violet has this little fire inside of her. Yeah, she does. You know, I'm not sure what's going to come out of like my 4-year-old yet, but like, I know it's going to be something. Yeah. And you're not going to want to mess with that girl. Yeah. And so we all have our important, unique gifts. Like I love to be creative, kind of like Penelope, and I need to work with my hands. And like, that's my gift. And I make these cakes or food or charcuterie boards, whatever. I need to share it with everyone. Yeah. Like all these things are what I love to do, and it makes me happy when I see you have the cake that I made, or the Jell-O shot that I made for you. It all makes me happy too. Yeah, it makes everybody happy.
That's so awesome. Yeah. I love it all, and that's why I love you, because everything about you is so admirable and just like this. Like something to live up to, right? Like I admire you so much. So
thank you.
It's so awesome. So what's next for you on the horizon? Do you have anything like stewing? I know you said like we're kind of just approaching the deployment
is a big thing. So we're really working on that. I'm planning an Easter party for the Squadron. Nice. Going forward, I don't know. Just try to do
getting
better.
Through homeschool.
Do better, be better. Mm-hmm. Really just I want my mom to move here. Yeah. Shout out, Mommy.
Yeah, she's in Alaska still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom lives in Alaska. I know. We're ready for you now, Mom. Yeah. I'm ready to take care of my mom in her older age, and I want her to be around our family. Yeah. I'm not having any more children. Yeah. I will get more dogs. Okay. That's in my future. Awesome. Something very ferocious. It's going to rip your face off. Yep. That's the kind of dog that I want. If there's any good dog trainers out there, I need to know someone. Like, message me, please. Yes. Just day by day. Awesome. That's my goal. Mm-hmm. Every day is filled, and I like it that way. Yep. I'm a very busy person, and I love it, though. I make my schedule so busy. I'm like, let's
I'm like,
go.
what else can I put on my
I
calendar?
know, it's crazy.
But then I do complain. I'm so busy. I never have any time.
Yeah,
But it's also
but I like it.
it's really cool. I do too.
I don't like being lazy.
Yeah.
I feel like laziness is the worst. And
Yeah.
so do as much as you can.
Mhm.
Life isn't as long as it is.
Right.
And I mean, I could be sick next year.
Yeah.
So I'm not now.
Yeah.
And I'm totally capable of taking care of my sweet little babies.
Mhm.
So we're going to have the best time doing it.
Absolutely. I love it, Pam. Oh my goodness. You're so awesome. Well, I have a lot more questions I could probably ask, but
We'll have a part two.
Yeah, we're going to have a part 2 for sure.
Yeah.
And then maybe even a group podcast
Yes.
session sometime
Yes.
because that will be a lot of fun. And I'm sure people listening are going to love to hear your story and they'll want to hear more too. So we're going to probably sign off today. But so if you don't have anything else to share, your other Instagram. So you have the flyboards.
Instagram, Pammy_MC.
MC.
Yeah,
I tag her all
follow
the
me.
time and things,
Yeah.
so you'll see.
It's just me working out,
It's
essentially.
awesome.
And
It's just her being
military
awesome.
stuff.
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So finally, I would just love to invite everyone that's listening to share this podcast with someone that you think would enjoy it or would love to subscribe to Gunz Rollz. If you do subscribe to Gunz Rollz, you'll be able to kind of catch up on some of our jiu-jitsu, our family jiu-jitsu, but also see some more Gunz and Bunz episodes like this one. But again, thanks, Pam, for coming today. I love you,
for
friend.
having me. It was wonderful.
Thanks so much. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.